Hello, and welcome to the Content Byte, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
I'm all for protecting my most valuable asset, my creative energy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, by offloading the admin that drains it. And that's why we love Rounded, because it really does take away so much of the money admin that I used to do with a spreadsheet and a box of receipts. How about you?
Yeah, me too. I think I would get stressed about finances, and I love the fact that it's all taken care of and it's all there for me. And I think it frees up my brain really to do all the creative work, which is writing. That's what I love.
Absolutely. And if you're a Rachel's List member, you get 20% off an annual subscription at Rounded. So check out the show notes for more about that.
Fantastic. Hey, Rach.
Hi.
Hi. Something a bit new this week. We're looking right at the belly of the beast, so to speak.
Yes. Well, I am seeing firsthand how freelance writers are really divided over AI, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're a writer who's listening, we're not doing an episode on how you can use it to write. We're doing it more about how you can use it for your marketing and create an AI marketing brain that's just for your purposes, which is interesting.
It is interesting. I must admit I hadn't really thought about doing this at all or how it might work. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to our guest, Stephen Lewis. And he's returning to the podcast for the second time. We don't have many return guests, but yay. Welcome, Steve. He was also on a panel at the summit last year, so he's got a lot to say about AI and how to use it. So why don't you introduce him and we can get him talking.
Okay. Stephen Lewis started writing for websites in 1994, putting him amongst the world's first website copywriters. And he's been writing professionally as a journalist and direct response copywriter ever since. His journalism has run in publications such as the Financial Times and Esquire on topics as diverse as adventure racing and the surveillance state. Stephen runs the copywriting agency Taylist and has lectured in PR and journalism. His book on public relations has been taught at Sydney University and translated for international distribution. And today, Stephen's journalistic, research-based approach to copywriting services informs Taylist's popular online copywriting courses, as well as courses in using ChatGPT for marketers, which we're going to talk about. And he founded The Obvious Choice, a community for consultants, coaches, and small business owners who want to cement themselves as the obvious choice for their ideal clients. Welcome back, Stephen.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm playing the role of the belly of the beast. Am I the beast, or is AI? Is AI?
I think AI is the beast.
Whose belly are we
Definitely
looking
AI.
at?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, gosh.
I swear that all my LinkedIn feed is all about AI, so it's really good to tackle it.
It is. And it is a really tricky topic for writers because I think many of the writers we know swing wildly from freaking out about AI or thinking it's quite useful in many ways. They might be, dabbling or really have gone all in on it. So do you think worrying about AI is a waste of time?
I don't think it's a waste of time in the sense that I think that everybody needs to learn how to use it, because if you don't learn how to use it, I mean, of course you're going to be overtaken. Same as if you insisted on carrying on with a typewriter, and we all still use pen and paper. I get it, but you also have to know how to use the other tools, and this is one of them.
But are there legitimate concerns that writers could have about AI, and do you share any of them, or are you just all in?
I mean, it depends what you mean by concerns. I think there's a concern that AI is coming to eat your lunch.
Yeah.
And that's what led me to get into it back in February 2021, because it doesn't seem like that. It seems like a long time ago, and then it wasn't a long time ago. But the tools were billed back then. This is before ChatGPT, as AI copywriters, and that's what ChatGPT was billed at when it launched in November 2022. So you had a choice at that point to say, no computer's ever coming for me, or I'm going to bury my head in the sand, or I'm going to go and have a look. Because if the tin is labeled poison for writers, you probably want to know what it is and what it looks like, right? That's how we got into it. So I think it's trying to come for your lunch. People want it to come for your lunch. And depending on what level of writing you're at, will determine how much of your lunch it eats, or whether you can actually, to completely mix my metaphors, saddle this beast and ride it to greater profit.
Mm, interesting. Well, do you think AI could replace human creativity or connection? Is that fear overblown? Do you think we'll always have those things?
I think we'll always have creativity, and certainly the way that AI is at the moment is it's a bit of a prediction engine based on what it's learned about what has already passed. So as it stands, it's not brilliant with novel ideas. Like, it's not going to necessarily invent something brilliantly out there that we've never seen before. But then on the other hand, lots of things like marketing principles and psychology and behavioral knowledge are things that writers who seek to persuade people could do with knowing more about. So even if it's not inventing anything novel, it can be lifting up your skills at the same time. So at the moment, I think creativity is safe. But most of us as writers, and certainly I think listening to this podcast, we're not here to be creative. We're here to do a job, to persuade people to do something. And I understand that that's creative, but it's not novel writing. It's following frameworks to achieve business goals, I would assume would be true for most of the listeners here.
Yeah. Yeah. To solve business problems is essentially what
What we do.
copywriters do. Yeah.
And journalists as well,
And
and
journalists.
less about business problems, but the problems of readers. And I do think that you're not saying let's go all in, but you are saying let's go all in about understanding it and how it works.
Yeah, and how it can help you. Which bits of your job it can do so your job isn't quite as, big as it is.
Or it's tedious. I mean, I use it
I
to
didn't
do all
want to
the
say anyone had a
tedious.
tedious job, but yes, that is what I meant.
There is tedious parts of every job, aren't there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and I had a bit of a powwow last week, and you showed me how a custom GPT works. But before we get into that, let's go back to basics. What is a custom GPT for anyone who doesn't know?
One of the weaknesses of ChatGPT for a writer, particularly, I think, is it can answer questions about things. So it's great, and clients will think that it can write well because they say, give me a LinkedIn post about whatever. And it will never say, no, you haven't given me enough information. How could I possibly start with such a shit brief? It will just write something because it doesn't know about you and it won't ask either. So a custom GPT is a feature that sits on top of ChatGPT. So it's inside ChatGPT. It's a feature of an account with ChatGPT where you can put in knowledge and skills. So when you ask ChatGPT to do something, like, for the sake of argument, write a blog post, you would think that this enormous intelligence would think, oh, right, I should bring all of my blog post writing skills, and those skills are this, and they are that, and the frameworks I should use are these. But it doesn't. It doesn't do any of that. It just writes a blog post, or it might pick a particular skill. So with a GPT, you can write the instructions. What do I mean by a brilliant blog post writer? What are those qualities? You put that into the custom GPT as instructions, and then you can give it knowledge. So if you're a blogger about Bali on behalf of a particular travel company, for example, you can put in certain information about Bali, certain information about the travel company, how the travel company likes to operate. And then you've got a custom GPT. So when you go to that GPT in ChatGPT, so you'd open ChatGPT, you'd click on that custom GPT, Bali bot, or whatever you wanted to call it. And when you ask it to do something, it says, oh, okay, so I need to bring these skills as a writer. I need to bring this knowledge. And then it's layering all of that on top of the incredible amount of training knowledge that ChatGPT already has.
Wow. So it is so interesting. So there's quite a bit going into it. So should you do this for every one of your clients or maybe for yourself? What do you think?
For me, there are as a writer, there are two kinds of GPTs that I want. So, for example, a lot of the writing that we do is website copywriting. And for that, you have to learn about the company that you're writing about, which requires taking in a lot of information. And then, as you know, clients take their sweet time to get back to you. while expecting all the time you will have remembered every detail they gave you 3 months ago. And that is inefficient and time consuming because you're thinking, when did they win that good design award? Did they start in Berlin or was it Frankfurt? I can't remember. You can put all of that information into a GPT. So I find that really helpful when I'm writing a website. Say, when did they win that award? What was the name of the original founder? You know, those sort of, and it will pull that information out. The second kind of GPT, the one that I specialize in building for people or teaching people how to build, is a consultant so that it can give you advice. So it knows about you. And then the specific kind of GPTs that I build then give marketing advice to you based on the combination of ChatGPT's massive intelligence, its enormous training data, and what we train it about your specifics. And so then you end up with an actual consultant that knows about you, but is also massively intelligent and incredibly knowledgeable about the right aspects of marketing.
Mm. Do you need the paid ChatGPT version to create a custom GPT?
Yes, you do. So you got to be spending at least what is it, $20 a month. But I just can't imagine anybody not being able to get $20 a month of value out of ChatGPT as a writer, or in fact in any business, just the amount of time that it can save you. But also when you work by yourself, having that co-pilot strategic thinking partner with you.
There's like somebody else to bounce things off, really, isn't it?
It is game changer. I mean, just this morning, I have a client. I sent them a proposal. We had a meeting in May. The meeting went well. We seemed to like each other. They asked for a proposal. I gave them the proposal. They said to me, we won't get back to you until June because we're going on holiday now. You know, all very good. But then they didn't even acknowledge that I sent the proposal in May. So I emailed at the end of May the one who wasn't going on holiday and said, hey, did you get it? Then they both replied and said, we got it. We'll get back to you next week. You know, we're 2 weeks later, right? I think we've all been in that position. You're like, what do I do now? I didn't ask you for this meeting. I didn't cold call you. You got in touch with me. I had a meeting. I sent you a proposal. Now you're ghosting me like I'm stalking you. So I had that back and forth with my CMO. Here's the context. Here's the whatever. I had a transcript of the sales call that we'd had together. So I was able to give my CMO a transcript of our original call, the proposal that I'd sent, the email chain to this point, and say, what do you think I should do? And it knows me, knows my tone of voice, knows my business, knows my offer. It's read all of this information. So I don't have to say, I am a copywriter in Sydney, you know, tick, 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 you know, and all of that. It knows all of that already. And it gave me this brilliant approach to go back to them with, because I had an idea and it said, don't do that. That is absolutely the wrong thing to do. Because I've trained mine to be quite blunt. So you can give it a tone of voice so it talks to you how you want to be talked to. And I need to be talked to like I'm a naughty, naughty boy. And it said to me, you're absolutely wrong. Don't do this. In the meeting, she told you this about the people they'd worked with before and what she didn't like. You're doing exactly that. That's what she's going to think. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. I thought that was a really smart time, you know, like make it about end of financial year, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like, no, that's urgency selling. She's already told you she doesn't like high pressure consultants. You're going to sound like that. I'm like, oh, yeah, so sensible. Really, really handy to have that back and forth.
So you've like got an angry little marketing assistant.
And it's got an angry big marketing boss. Very angry.
I want to know more about that though. Like, what are some other, you know, we all know the standard prompt get response way that you can use ChatGPT. What are some other like little anecdotes like that you've used it for, or that you've talked to your marketing assistant in that way? And
I've used it. I guess my self-effacing side beneath the anger is I'll tell you all the stories where it's told me I'm an idiot, right? And so one of them, for instance, I was putting together a proposal for a professional services firm to run some training for them. Global business, right? But I'm a little business. So numbers that seem big to me, I find hard to say out loud to other people, forgetting that they're $1 billion business. That's a big number to them. So I thought, okay, I'll charge 8,000 for this training that I'm putting together. But I thought I'd just run that past my CMO first. To
Mm.
which my CMO literally replied, oof, double OF, oof, like you are really underselling this. It's like, look at what you, because I gave it a good briefing. I said, look, this is why they want the
Mm.
thing. This is
Mm.
what it's going to do for them. And it's like, look at all that value you're talking about creating. They've already spent a lot of money on this. They need you in order to unlock a return on that investment. This is across their team of 250 people. What are you talking about? $8,000. This should be $25,000. And then I'm like, oof, I don't know that I could say $25,000.
Mm.
So we went back and forth, and it said, okay, look, if you don't want to say 25, how about you put in a couple of upsells that won't cost you a lot of money to do, but they will see as valuable because they will be valuable. They just won't cost me a lot to deliver. And we call it 16. I went, okay, well, we'll put it in as, for the course this,
Mm.
and then for these upsells, total of 16. Client got back to me within 24 hours and said, don't worry about the upsells, just put the whole thing in as one package, let's go. Like, didn't even want to have the, yes, I'll take part A, like, I'll take the whole thing. So my CMO turned $8,000 into $16,000.
Wow.
And as I did the thing, I realized I should have charged 25. So, it was right in the first place.
The angry marketing officer was
Was
Yeah.
right, yeah.
assistant was right.
And I don't. We all have imposter syndrome, right? It's really hard to remind yourself of the value of what you're creating, rather than, oh, the client thinks 30 cents a word is a good, like, you shouldn't be charged by the word, which is a whole different story. But you know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah.
client. I've had a client say to me, "Oh, I could get it cheaper in Singapore." I'm like, I don't know why that's the test.
Mm,
What it costs in Singapore. I don't know that that's true. And this is a balmy conversation, but
Yeah.
how do you shift a client away from that kind of thinking can be really hard when you're on your own and you're feeling like an imposter to start with.
Mm.
Having that boost, that sensible, well argued, knows you and knows marketing, priceless. Again, priceless advice.
Can I ask you about with these private GPTs, does it also keep that information confidential? Because I know with the public one, when you just use the free version, everything goes into the sort of the churn. But when you set up a private one within that also, so when you're doing this sensitive information or you're working for clients that might be worried, does that how it works?
I certainly know, because it says at the bottom of all of my chats, we've got a team account with
Mm.
ChatGPT, and it says at the bottom, your information is not being used in our training data. I think what you have to do, of course, is understand that big tech companies have been known to lie
Yes, good point.
and also to make mistakes. Like, it only takes one person in their engineering department to accidentally toggle the wrong switch,
Mm.
and suddenly you'll find all your stuff is going, as you put it earlier, into the belly of the beast, and it
Mm.
can never be retrieved. So I advise people to be mindful about what they put in. It's like they say, like, don't do anything you wouldn't want your mother to read about in the newspaper tomorrow. I
Mm.
suppose in a sense it's that. So I can't give anybody legally binding, useful advice about that, because also ChatGPT could change its terms of service while we're talking right now.
Yeah.
So I would be careful. But then on the other hand, most of the stuff I put in, it just wouldn't be. I don't know the
Mm.
seven herbs and
Mm.
spices, like that's not information my clients give me. I'm writing their marketing. So I'm writing things that inherently they
Mm.
intend to make public.
Mm.
mhm,
Fair
mm.
enough.
It's interesting the way that you talk about putting the information in there. You're almost creating like this digital library. I suppose you could do that in multitude of ways, but you're doing it in a custom chat GPT that will spit out the date they got the award and how they when they ran that webinar or whatever. It's all in your library of that client, essentially.
Yeah, so that type of GPT, you can really just drop any files in it that you want, PDFs, Word documents, and so on. But that is not a good way of building a consultant GPT, because the AI will choke on all of that unstructured information. So, clients love a beautifully designed PDF, right? And you imagine you're a robot that reads code. You're like, oh my God, there's just so much in here under the surface about the formatting. You like when you try and copy and paste something from Word into a text and some gibberish comes up behind it, and you're like, well, that's the code in a Word document.
Yeah.
So if you put too much in there, it's okay at finding that they won the award in 2005. If you want one that advises you, there's a structure that you need to think about in putting the GPT together so that the AI understands the information that you're giving it about yourself.
And gives it a hierarchy?
Yeah, there's a hierarchy to it. There's a structure to it, and there's a what does it actually need to know? Because I spoke to a guy. So we build AI CMOs for people. So we have a course that shows you how to do it for yourself, and we build them for clients. And I had a conversation with a guy who co-owns, I'm old, I would call it a chain of real estate agents. They would call it a platform. So
Yes.
he owns a platform of real estate agents, 50, 60 agents. And he loved the idea, but he said, actually, I'm building something similar myself. I've put in 150 hours to building it, which is impressive, right? You co-own a
Yeah.
business of that size, you're putting in that kind of time, but also, is that where 150 hours of your time should be going if you're co-owning the business? But, he's put 150 hours into it. But I will bet that he's dropping a lot of PDFs into a custom GPT. And eventually that custom GPT is just going to say, well, it's just going to start producing gibberish, or it's going to be unreliable to the people he wants to use it. Because every time you ask it a question, it's trying to read 30, 40, 50 PDFs. So there's a certain skill that goes into what does it need to know and how do I get that information. So my course is about, well, I've thought about what you need to give your CMO for it to give you good advice, your AI chief marketing officer. What does it need to know? And then how do you get that information? Because as we all know with our clients, a lot of people have never thought about the kinds of questions that we ask them, let alone thought about how to get the information. So I've baked into the course ways to get the AI to look at your competitors and give you a report on your competitors that is then useful to the AI in the future to use. So it's a sort of circle. You use the AI to get information that the AI will later use and then put it in. So it's got to be structured and it's got to be thought through with no unnecessary, because you don't know which bits of its memory it's going to go into. So you really need to think about what you're putting in there.
So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this takes me right back to our first summit, which was in 2023. And Susan Rioch, she actually did a session then that was quite controversial back then, about AI. Everyone was like super terrified. And it was about making AI the assistant in your back pocket and along the same marketing lines, that you're talking about. So, fast forward to now, let's go into it a bit more and why you think that we've got to the custom GPT stage and why it's of interest to writers from a marketing perspective in their own marketing, perhaps.
Because, having made a living from my writing for 30 years, I know it's lonely. And even when you work with someone else, if you're in that lucky position, the chance that that person has enough time for you to spin around in your chair and say, you know what, Rachel, I've got some work to do. Could you stop doing the work that you're doing and spend half an hour thinking with me about my work? Like, it's just not there. So you don't have that other perspective. You're often doing this stuff at 9 o'clock at night when you're tired and more likely to miss things. Also, I think writers are brutalized, right? You're brutalized by clients because clients not all of them, many of them think they can do what you can do because they can type and you type. And if they watch a video of you working, they think they're going to see you typing. And they think, I type all day. What's the difference? That's the big red flag with a client, right? When they say, I'd do this myself if I had time. And
Yeah.
you're thinking, yes, because I have no skills that you don't already have. My skills are merely a subset of your skills. Numpty. So you know that you're dealing with that. So how do you present your value and overcome the fact that you've just had a Word document with somebody's metaphorical red pen write through it because they know how to write better than you do, and you're just like, oh.
Mm. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I must be no good at this. And then you've just watched 9 Instagram reels from writers who are tippy tapping away from Naples because they're making so much money in their writing business that they've flown first class to Italy to, work remotely. And you're feeling all of that. I think it's then really easy to downplay yourself, to send out a proposal that completely undervalues your contribution. You've read one too many articles about how AI is just writing stuff anyway, and you're like, well, what am I for? What future do I have? If you've got something that's trained in you, in your value, in marketing, that comes back to you and structures it and says, okay, well, the client's emailed back and said this, but the client is ignoring that, or you could counter with this, all of that stuff is like, yes, I could do that. I could come back. Or I could, as I said earlier, avoid emailing yet another client going, have you had a chance to look at the proposal yet?
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Interesting, isn't it? But
yeah.
do you think you need to be transparent to clients about how using
No,
ChatGPT? Do you think, no, you don't think so?
no. And I'll tell you why. Because you mentioned earlier, Lynn, that LinkedIn is full of AI, right, at the
Mm,
moment. And my LinkedIn, at least, is full of people going on about bloody M dashes as if ChatGPT
mm,
discovered the M dash, which irritates the shit out of me because I have a text expander keyboard shortcut to make an M dash because I love an M dash and
mm,
always have. So mine is full of I can spot AI, I can
mm.
and I've got a video that I'm putting on LinkedIn next week, which is a case study of a woman who built a CMO for me, who said she got a comment on LinkedIn from someone saying, your content is some of the best non-AI written content on LinkedIn. It's so good. And she's writing it all with her AI CMO, right? So I've got a video of her saying that, which I, of
Yeah,
course,
that's
found
quite interesting.
I
Mm,
found that very funny.
Mm,
And so my point is there's using ChatGPT the way your granny uses
mm,
ChatGPT, which is type in, write me a LinkedIn post, write me a blog post, do whatever.
mm.
Then there's using ChatGPT the way that I use ChatGPT, which is completely different. So I, for instance, run ChatGPT powered focus groups of the ideal reader of what I'm writing. So if I'm writing a website for,
Mm.
if I think about a client recently, they build HubSpot websites. They
Yeah.
would be very upset at me reducing them to that. But for the purpose
Mm,
of the podcast, they build websites in HubSpot.
mm.
I wrote their website. Every paragraph of that website was run past a focus group of their ideal clients using AI, which is something I teach that in the course, but
Yeah.
literally I put a paragraph in and their ideal client, not ChatGPT, their ideal client powered by ChatGPT. So I find that a bit confusing. Or actually, I'm not really so concerned about speed. What I'm concerned about is accuracy. So that
Mm,
wouldn't mean anything to me. So, yes, I wrote that site
mm.
with AI, but not the way your granny would write it with AI. And
Yeah.
that's why I don't tell clients because they wouldn't understand. Like if they understood, I would happily tell them the whole process, but all they'll hear is you just typed in write HubSpot website.
Yeah.
mm, mm.
Mm.
So it's not in your policies. You just feel like it's part of your kit, basically, like your Word, Google Docs, Otter. We don't say, oh, well, I'd transcribe that in Otter. You better know about that. Yeah.
No. Well, I think my clients, and I think this is a really interesting bit of framing, is my client paying me to tippy tap on my keyboard, or is my client paying me for a website that gets leads?
Mm. Yeah.
So this client, for instance, emailed me. They put up the copy, and he emailed me 2 days later. He said, "I've just had an inquiry from the homepage. We haven't had an inquiry from the homepage for 18 months." So they're a HubSpot company, so they track everything, right? Because that's one thing
Yeah.
HubSpot is really good at. So they know that. Then he emailed me 2 days later and said, because they run Shopify integration as well. He said, I've just had an inquiry from the Shopify page. We literally never get inquiries from the Shopify page. So what does he care that I wrote stuff? I interviewed him. I ran it past an AI focus group. I improved things. He cares that he's getting inquiries from pages he's never had inquiries from before. That's what he paid me for. And he couldn't have done what I do. Like he could have all the AI in the world. It's my skill to create that result, and that's what he's paying me for, the result. And I think as writers, we are, it's the whole again word count thing. Like you're paid for your word count. Like what are you? I used to be
Yeah.
paid for word count, right? And
Mm.
I get it, but how ridiculous! You could put 3 years into writing 750 words, or you could put 20 minutes into writing 750 words. It's not a useful measure. So I sell the results.
Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, that brings us back, doesn't it, to how you actually sell yourself and sell the outcome rather than all the bits and pieces of the journey that go into it. And that's what you're paying me for. No, they're paying you to, to meet that business goal, like we talked about earlier. It's interesting.
Well, I've had clients say to me, so our class, well before AI, our onboarding process, nothing original about this, is a Word document, answer these questions. I used to do it in a Zoom, and then I found it was just great because you just get the answers that come off the top of people's heads, and then they have to go back and tell you different things later anyway. So I send them the questionnaire. Then I have a meeting to go through the questionnaire with them. I can't tell you how many clients have said to me, "Oh my God, this questionnaire, it's amazing. It's made me think about things. I've had so much value." I sent them a Word document and they're saying, "Oh, it's really provoked my thinking. I've had so much value out of the Word document." I don't sell the Word document, right? I sell the outcome of the process, but our research process has clients halfway through because research is, let's say it's half the process. They're already saying, I've had so much out of this, so much that I can use. I haven't even written a word for them yet. And I think it took me too many years as a writer to realize I'm selling all of that.
Mm.
I'm
As well as the
selling
words.
as well as the words. The words are part of it. And if
Mm.
you think of yourself as only selling the words, then that, to go back to your earlier question, is why you're going to need to be frightened of the AI, because the AI can produce the words, but it's your deciding what should be in it, how those words respond to the client's actual need and their client's interests. That's the skill that you're selling, and the words are a part of it. They are not who you are and the totality of your value.
Mm.
So interesting. One of the things you've mentioned that you create these sort of chat GPTs or bespoke ones for your clients. Do you think that's a good service to get into? Do you think that's something writers can look at, or is it going to sort of take business away from us, do you think?
I think what I love about having a CMO is I've been so part of my campaign to sell these has been direct mail to former clients. So literally they get something in the post, old school, with a little robot keychain
That's quite
attached.
ironic, really, when you think
Yeah.
about
And
it.
well, and you look at how Google advertises on TV and Facebook advertises on TV, like the media work.
Mm,
So, and of course, I had AI assistance in writing the direct mail.
mm,
So, in that sense, it is included. But I'm writing to these clients, and to write to them, I look at their websites that we wrote for them. And for some of them, it's 3 or 4 years since we wrote the website. And I'm looking at what they've done to their website since and despairing because their websites were brilliant and they converted. And then you know what it's like over time. They've added a new service and they didn't think they could afford you, or they couldn't, blah, or they've got somebody shitter to
mm,
do it, and they've wandered off. You
mm,
set them on this really great path of crisp, differentiated, persuasive copy,
mm,
and they've, may I say, fucked it. They've
mm. Yeah,
fucked
of
it.
course. Yeah.
And a CMO would be a brilliant addition to that, in the sense that you could do all of that strategic work, like how you're going to position yourself, how you're
Mm,
going to talk, what's your tone of voice, what do your clients need. Then you can bake that into a CMO that keeps them on track when you can't be around, because very few of our clients can afford to have us on tap, in the sense that, hey, I'm just writing a LinkedIn post, let me give Lynne or Rachel a call. They don't
mm.
have the budget or they don't have the time.
Yeah.
So you've got something that can maintain the integrity of the work that you've done. And then as they evolve, you can add to it. You can continue to consult to them. And that's how you stop having to be frightened of the AI, because you are the maestro of the AI as opposed to the one whose lunch it's trying to eat.
Mm.
Mm.
Interesting. Interesting.
Mm. Yeah. Well, you've touched a little bit on your course. It's called Make ChatGPT Your CMO. Tell us how long it is and how it's structured and what people will learn from it.
It's an email delivered course. So this is something I have learned over time running courses in lots of different ways. That if you can run a video course and they're great. I mean, there's a place for all delivery mechanisms, but email is the place people are every day. You open your email every day. So you get one lesson per day with one thing for you to do over 30 days. And for the first 16 days, you're essentially doing the research that will brief your CMO. So we're looking at your competitors, your business goals, your tone of voice, really what you want to achieve and the landscape in which you're achieving it. One of the most powerful parts of those 16 days is we really get into the psychology of your clients, because your CMO is going to be able to help you persuade those clients because it's really going to understand them. It's not 35-year-old woman who lives on the North Shore and drives a Volvo. This is what she wants, her hopes, her dreams, her fears, the things she wouldn't even tell her best friend concern her. Like you learn how to bake all of that into this client. Then on day 16, we upload all of that into your custom GPT, along with instructions that I've written for that custom GPT to be an excellent marketer. Like it's 1,000 words of skills that this GPT will bring to your work. So on day 16, you have that CMO installed in your business to ask anything you like. How can I get more clients? How can I raise my prices? Read this proposal that I wrote earlier. What's wrong with it? How could I have made it better? And then for the next 14 days of the 30-day course, I'm giving you things to do with your CMO so you get into the habit of using it and incorporating it into what you do, because then you're just going to use it. So the woman anchor whom I interviewed for the case study where I was mentioning, she said she got compliments on LinkedIn. She actually has moved on from some of the coaching groups she was in because she was getting more value out of the CMO. She is using it to develop offers, write the landing pages for offers, write the emails for offers, put the whole thing together and getting things sold. And I think we all know we can do that for our clients, but it's bloody difficult to do that for yourself, right? Because you're so close to it. So to have a partner working on your own market, doing things for you, like I would never let my clients send out the kind of shit proposals that I've been sending out because I'm too close to it. I've got someone now who can do that for me, and that's the huge difference. That I've got a thinking partner, so I don't just, as I say, send off the wrong thing. So it's 30 days by email. It's $299, and naturally it comes with the money back guarantee. Like I know the word I hear most commonly about the course is that it's life changing, which sounds like total marketing bollocks for me to tell you that my course is life changing. So it comes with a total guarantee because I know people will take it, they will love it, they will use it. Nobody's going to ask for their money back, but I understand. Well, when I was writing the landing page for the course, I'll tell you this. So I have my ideal clients. I ran focus groups with my ideal clients. So paragraph by paragraph, I went through this landing page. It's an 8,000 word landing page. Each of them, what do you think of this? The thing they kept saying to me is, I don't believe you. I don't believe. I'd be making these claims. Like I have genuine emails from people. I'd say, look, I know I've got a testimonial. I don't believe you. This sounds too good to be true. I'm like, okay. So I've got to put a money back guarantee on it. So it's actually a double your money back guarantee, because if you don't like it and you work with it, I'll give you your money back and another $299, because I figure it does sound too good to be true. But it's just people are beleaguered. I think that's the thing. Having this level of assistance takes you out of, I have no time to do anything. I'm lucky if I can put up 2 LinkedIn posts a week, let alone think strategically. It gives you strategy and your time back. It's game changing, I think.
That's so interesting. One of the things is that AI is changing all the time. Can you see some things that it will never replace, that we need to work on, things that AI just can't do?
That is a really hard question, because you asked earlier whether it would replace human connection, and people are building therapists in AI. I mean, they're building, girlfriends and boyfriends in AI. And I think there is a real danger that even though the AI is not necessarily super creative with novel things, its ability to spin things that exist into persuasive material enough to fool you. Like, I mean, not to get gross about it, but let's face it. Men, for instance, have always been particularly susceptible to women whom they pay telling them they like them and men believing it. So it's not hard to see how an AI that keeps telling you how special you are,
Could be very attractive.
a very attractive thing, which is why, as I say with my AIs, I train it to be this angry,
Angry,
like I say
uppity
to it. Yeah, well, I
system.
mean, I said to it this morning, I said, I want, be blunt. I want your advice, not your support, because that's one of the things I like about AI is
Mm.
it's not personal either. When a client sends you back, how clients send you back their markup, but forget to say, holy shit, you got 99% of this correct, and I've only marked up 1%. They just send you all the markup and go, here are some changes. And you're like, where's the bit where you say, wow, you didn't know anything about my business 2 months ago, and
Mm.
now you've written something where I've only got like 1% of things need
Yeah.
changing. So to have the AI, as I say, just, working with you and being blunt, it's not confronting. Like it's confronting when a client sends you back something and saying, I don't like this bit. And you're like, I feel sad.
Mm.
Whereas when it's just AI, it's not human to human. You're like, okay, I respect that opinion. That's good. And yeah,
Mm.
okay, I'll make a change. It's not embarrassing
Yeah.
if a robot is blunt with you.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think, I can see so much value in that, especially because so many of us work in a vacuum and, to have that back and forth. But I do look at communities, like Rachel's List, and you've got your own community, and they are just, thriving because people will always need to bounce things off each other. Yeah, I hope that that sticks around because I don't know, it's really tricky. Maybe we'll all be sitting in our rooms with our robots and
Well, I think it was
forgetting
Mark.
about community.
I think it was Mark Cuban recently who said, that's going to be the premium experience, right? The human experience is
Yeah.
going to be the premium experience. And I think that's right. Like I think my AI has made me better at what I do because I can hear it when I'm doing things without it, like just having a sales conversation. I'm hearing it and going, oh yeah, when you read that last transcript, you said this thing, but it's not making me less interested in playing tennis with my friends or going out with my friends or going to the movies. I don't. Hopefully
Mm,
that isn't going to happen because I think that will end up being lonely.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Interesting.
Well, you might remember that we like to ask our guests at the end about their tech tips or the tools that they would be lost without. And obviously, one of yours is your custom GPT. But is there any other software that you've started to use alongside it that's really complementary?
I love Notion,
Oh, yeah.
and Notion works very well with AI outputs because, not to get too techie about it, but AI outputs are actually written in a formatting language called Markdown, which means that you can copy things out of AI into Notion and it'll all be nicely formatted for you. Whereas if you copy it out of into, say, a Word document, I think less so. And
Mm,
Notion is just what happens for me is I have long conversations with my CMO, then I go back and I'm actually make handwritten notes. It's got a bit old school because I actually find that is quite helpful. But then I'll
Yeah.
put the bits that I want to copy and paste out of those chats into Notion because if you leave your chats in AI, trying to get back to the one that you remember had the nuggets
Yeah.
so hard. So Notion works really well with that. And you can get extensions, certainly for Chrome, that you can use to export a chat straight into Notion.
mhm,
Oh, that's
mm.
interesting.
So
Oh.
you create like a library of what you're learning from those chats that you can
Yes.
revisit. Yeah.
And I've got a library of prompts. So, I mean, that's now that I've got the GPT. See, the beauty of the GPT, of course, is you don't have to give it all the briefing. It's just there. You just say, hey, CMO, do this. But sometimes if you've written a prompt that is really mustard, you want to keep that in Notion or somewhere, because you'll go, oh my God, I wrote that really good prompt that turned X into Y. And now I've got to rewrite it, because a good prompt can be 300 words.
Yeah.
So you certainly don't want to write it again from scratch.
Mm.
And Notion's a good place for that. I've got a whole library of prompts in there.
Wow.
I haven't delved into Notion, but I keep hearing so much about it that I know it's coming for me.
It is a common theme with many of our guests,
It
actually. It's
is.
probably the most common sort of mention that we get. Yeah.
It's just because when I've gone into it, it's like a blank slate. Like there's
Yes.
and so you really do have to create your world in there and
Yes.
that just doesn't appeal to me at all. But
It is hard. I got onto Twitter in the very, very beginning in 2006, but it was like being the only guy in the village with a telephone. What was the point? Because you just couldn't understand what Twitter was for, because you'd open it and you literally have a blank feed because you hadn't
yeah.
followed anybody. But how did you know to follow anyone? And back in 2006, who was there to follow?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
dropped out, but I was there early enough that I'm pretty sure my first handle was at Stephen. Like I was there early enough to
Wow.
actually have my name. But yeah, exactly that. It was just a blank piece of paper, and you're like, what's all the fuss about?
Yes, I was at a meeting quite a few years ago, about a presentation about 15, 20 years ago, where they launched this new thing called LinkedIn. And they explained it to everyone in the audience, which nobody could get. But yeah, but the good thing is that I got a LinkedIn page right at the absolute very beginning. And yes, it's just accident, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Stephen. So interesting. It's a great chat. So tell our audience where they can find you.
The course is at aicmocourse.com. So aicmocourse.com. And it's called Make ChatGPT Your CMO. And as I say, it's an 8,000 word landing page, so you don't have to read all of it. I won't get started on long copy versus short copy. But what I will say is, if you go and have a look at it, it was all written with the help of AI, in the sense that every single paragraph went through a focus group of avatars. So there's method in every bit of the madness.
Wow.
And for the Content Byte listeners, Stephen is kindly offering 10% off. So we will pop that in as a discount code into the show notes. And if you happen to be a gold member who's listening, keep your ears out for an exclusive lunch club that we're running with Stephen in August. So those are our free expert sessions that we do just for gold members. And that one is about doubling your team with a custom GPT. So we'll talk about more about that in the group.
That'd be fantastic. Wow. So that brings us to the end of the show, but thanks to everyone who's listening. I'm sure everyone's going to go straight away and open ChatGPT and delve into it. I think I will. So if you like the show, don't forget to leave a rating and review on the platform where you find your podcast, and take a look at the show notes where we'll have links to everything we've discussed today. Thanks.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's list, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.